right there for the lady who forgot her headphones at home today.
Bubble-headed bleach blonde, really?
Oh. I'm just saying. I'm in here deaf now to the world. So there you go. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to be probably doing a lot of crying today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, good afternoon, Yuba Sutter. This is the Yuba Sutter Political Spotlight.
You can't blow that off just like that.
Well, it's going to be an interesting day because if I turn up enough to where I can hear the monitor, I'm going to, well, I can show you what it'll do. It got a lot of feedback. So, I'm going to be flying kind of. You know what's really going to be neat about this, though, is if I interrupt, it'll be totally by accident.
Well, I just want to say that I resemble that remark.
Yeah. Today you do, and you're already starting to lean into the mic too much. No, we'll be good. It will work.
Just watch the little needle, and we'll be okay. Just stare at the needle the whole time.
Come on, needle boy.
Just do your job.
I won't say the whole thing. We'll just leave it at that. Anyways, we are joined by Stacy Brookman running for city council today. He's going to join us for the first hour, I believe, here in the studio. And everybody else is here also. So go ahead, guys. I'm going to be kind of silent today.
I'm everybody else.
You're the bubble-headed bleach blonde.
Yes, I am the bubble-headed bleach blonde today, apparently.
Comes on at 1.
And it does. It comes on at 1, not 5.
Spoils all your fun.
Well, welcome, Stacy.
Thank you.
Glad you're here with us.
Glad to be here.
We're going to grill you.
Uh-oh.
Not really.
We already did grill him. See, that's what we do as the Yuba Sutter Political Spotlight. We really put our candidates through the ringer.
Yep.
And they got to come out squeaky clean. So this one popped out squeaky clean. So we're going to go ahead and introduce him to the rest of the world now.
He came in the first night, and we were so blown away that
Yeah.
we had to have him back for seconds.
Well, I
The next
believe
night.
We did, yeah.
We literally were picking ourselves up on the floor. We were set not to like you. I'm looking at Stacy right now, folks, and I'm telling him, we were set not to like this guy. I mean, we just were. We're like, okay, let's have him in. And because we were really planning on only backing basically 2 candidates because that's all we felt like that were out there. And literally, we met the guy, and we talked for like an hour 15 or something. First, let me tell you, he calls us, and he says, oh, I forgot that I was meeting with you guys, and I got another meeting. I'm going to have to blow
I think it was the other meeting you forgot about. It started sooner than you thought.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to have to blow you guys off. And I'm like, that's exactly
He did
what
not say I'm going to have to blow you guys off.
But no, he was very...
That's what we heard, though.
Yeah, that's what we got.
The
that was the
interpretation.
translation whenever he said, I can't make it, I've got another meeting. I'm going, okay, yeah, blow us off. That's a bad move, but whatever. And so then he calls right back, and he says, you know what? I got through there. Can I come over? And Tammy's like, yeah, we're still sitting around having a meeting. Come on over. And literally, it was like picking ourselves, at least for me, it was like picking myself up out the floor whenever he walked out. I'm going, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And so we had him back a second night, and yeah, the guy is really stand up. Reminds me a lot of me, and usually that isn't good. But, like I say, I like how he's rough around the edges, and I like what he had to say. So that was my spin on it. So
Yeah, you ever seen anybody pick Jason up off the floor? You know how hard that would be.
thanks, Bill.
If he couldn't feel any worse, right?
That's okay. I really can't hardly hear you, so it's okay.
That's why I buy you chicken.
And fortune cookies.
Get all your jabs in now because he can't hear us real well.
So,
Back here
Stacy,
and cry.
we're having a good time. Why did you decide to run for city council, Stacy?
Several years ago, I actually had no interest in politics whatsoever. I still have no interest in being a career politician. A while back, I decided to watch a city council meeting online and saw some just what I felt was blatant disrespect to members of the council as well as members of the community. And then talking to some city employees through the last several months, I've kind of discovered they feel the same way, that they're being disrespected, not treated fairly, and felt they needed better leadership than what they have. So kind of decided maybe there was something I could do to help. I know our community is we're a smaller community, and we're very tight knit. So having the disrespect within the community was something to me that I was very uneasy with. It's not all members of our council, but some of the incumbents I felt were a little more disrespectful than they should be. So I kind of wanted to get in there and see if I could try to make a change a little bit.
More to each other, or more to the people, or more to the city employees?
All the way around, actually. I've seen the disrespect to the city employees. I've seen respect to members of the community from the dais, as well as other members of the council.
So, if you don't mind elaborating on the complaints that you might have heard from the city employees, it's anonymous, but I think we'd like to know.
There were city employees that told me they had spoke to a specific council member and mentioned that they would like to get some pay raises, and felt that they hadn't had them in several years, felt they deserved more. Rather than explain why they might not be able to afford these pay raises or anything like that, it is my understanding they were told they were lucky they had jobs, and there was some foul language involved, and words exchanged, and they parted ways.
Oh, okay. Well, roger that. So,
Honestly, last year, Fotine, Fotine, Halis Kopriva, she volunteered to be on the planning commission for the city of Yuba City, and she was so disrespected by John Buckland. He and I got into the trenches. I just have never heard an exchange like that from a sitting council member to someone that was volunteering to be on the planning commission. It was horrendous.
so you think there's bad blood that's been going on, maybe, between the people? I mean, I'm in the dark on the matter, so I'm
I
just
don't know that
kind of
it's
curious, but I think the people should know.
I don't know that it's bad blood or just pure arrogance. And it is at levels that I have never seen before.
Yeah. Now, before the show, you mentioned that there was a human resource officer just hired by the county, and the statement that you said to me sounded like a lot of arrogance. Can you tell us about that just a little
Well,
bit?
do you want to get into the county, or do you want to stay
Well,
on the city with,
yeah,
with Stacy?
I
Because
want-
I will be happy to give you blow-by-blow details.
Well, I like to hear what the people that are employed in the city and county, because to me it's a similar situation, what their complaints are about, and this is kind of what he alluded to.
Right. So Stacy is running for city council, and we have a couple of clips from the Sutter County Supervisors meeting. But what we need to make sure with Stacy is that the city and the county can get along, because right now they're not getting along. Is that right, Stacy?
Absolutely. There's a clear disconnect between the county CAO and the city manager.
Steve Krager.
Correct.
Yes.
Both of those guys make upwards of, I would say, $700,000 a year
Combined?
Yeah.
Together, okay.
combined. What are we getting
But
out
still,
of
that's
it?
outrageous for.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They don't get along. Our roads are still crumbling. The taxes that we pay do not reflect the amenities that we receive. It's embarrassing.
Absolutely.
But they need more taxes, Liz. They need more.
Well, if you just give them a little bit more.
Just a
You
little bit
have
more.
it. They want it. You should just give it to them.
Just roll over.
So, okay, so Stacy, we got a lot of complaining that they're not getting raises. Do you have any ideas what kind of salary schedules are going on there in the city?
No, I haven't looked at the police department, the fire department. I haven't looked at the salary schedules themselves. I know that they are supposed to be on par with surrounding cities and counties. I do know one thing, that I would like to see changed in the city to help address pay issues amongst other issues, as well as taxes, development fees. Whenever the city or the county, for example, they want to set forth and go on, the police department, for example, is looking for a pay raise. They'll get 5 cities that they use as a comparison, and they'll try to find lower paying cities in general to do that. Then when they turn around and they want to set fees for construction, developmental fees, whatever, they look for 5 different cities and they find higher paying cities. You'll try to get Rockland involved, West Sacramento, for example. You'll take cities where a complete other end of the spectrum. I think the city needs to sit down right from the start for an entire year, 2 years, pick 5 cities that are in the middle. It'll work in all directions. It'll work when it comes to pay surveys, salary surveys, and it'll work the same way when it comes to setting taxes and fees. Because you're not going to, if you have to pick and use them for both, you're not going to go from one extreme or the other. You're going to try to stay right in the middle, which I think will help the citizens, employees, all the way around.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Okay. Well, I think that's a never-ending program myself. When it comes to you're going to compare to these 5 cities, and then they're going to compare to you, and it's always going to continue to inch up and inch up and inch up.
Yeah.
How about comparing it to the private sector?
That would be
what I
an
mean?
excellent idea, because this round robin of comparing it to the other cities use that to get back.
It just keeps escalating.
It keeps escalating up, and it never ends.
Yeah, but the difference between the city of Yuba City and, say, a Rockland or a West Sac
Is about 300,000.
and the planners down in those areas have it so much more on the ball. I mean, that's why people are getting in their vehicles and exiting,
Absolutely.
right? To
Absolutely.
spend their tax dollars.
Absolutely. We don't have business in town. We don't have what they have in those cities and counties. That's why people leave to go there.
Yet we pay the same amount of taxes.
Absolutely. Then another thing that's not taken into consideration when it comes to these salary surveys and employee retention is treatment of employees. Employees, if they're treated well and they're happy at work, they're going to be okay making less money. I'm not talking $20,000 a year less, but a couple dollars an hour. They're going to be okay with that as long as they're treated fairly. That's not going on in all departments of the city at this point in time.
Why not?
I don't know why. I know, for example, the fire department, the fire chief has actually been given a vote of no confidence at one point in time, but he's still there. And that,
That's
to
why
me,
he drinks.
to me, that you're not seeking employee retention if you're not looking to make happy employees. There's like I said, there's other ways to make them happy besides just money. And even people they could be making twice what they are right now, and if they're disrespected at work, they're not going to stay. They're going to go somewhere else to work.
There's a lot of truth to that, because I know that I spent so much time at the City of Yuba City, 24 and a half years I was there. And just the change in leadership, the change in, employees. There were times when it was just awesome and we had a great team and it was cohesive and things were, morale was up. And then you had shifts and changes and there was a decline, and a noticeable decline. And, I stuck around through thick and thin, and but I recognize those differences. But I'm now in a new environment down at the city of Sac, and morale, from my perception, what I can see where I'm at is high. We have a great relationship with our supervisors, our leaders. I think Tom's maybe talked about, or Bill, or sorry, I can't remember which one, about your leadership reflects. It's a top-down thing, and whatever your personalities are like in leadership, it trickles down and it's felt, and it makes an impression on the whole staff.
Yeah, that was me that talked about that. I saw that in the grocery business. I spent 19 years there, and the attitude of the store manager was reflected down all the way through the people that we dealt with. And when you went into the store and you were engaging with some of the employees there, and they had a good attitude because we were vendors. Then you met the manager, and you didn't get to engage with him as often, but he had that same great attitude. So it definitely is reflected throughout the whole operation.
Would you agree, Tammy, that the rank and file employees that are on the line, that are in the trenches dealing with the public, there is such a huge disconnect between those employees and the administration. And I think that we can all agree that the one thing that grows in our area is government.
Right. That's one of the main industries. You got medical and you got government. Not a whole lot else.
So I wanted to ask Stacy this. Well, first I'm going to give my opinion on this. I've been gone in Oregon all week, but I got home and I read the Appeal Democrat, and to me, they do a lot of covering for the public sector. Okay, they write their articles in a certain way. It's a deception, that I would say. So you opened the door, Stacy, about this fire chief. Now, he was involved in an accident.
Nope. Okay.
Sutter County.
That's Sutter County.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Sutter County.
Sutter County, okay, but it's still a public sector employee. Yeah, so Yuba City has a fire chief, and Sutter County has a fire chief. Okay, but here's my point on the matter. It looks like a total good old boy network, and they're covering his butt. Okay, anybody else that would have done the same thing would have had the charges filed against them. You know what I mean? So it's a whitewash program.
Do you want to
That's the way I perceive it.
fill in the
I'm
blanks
I'm just going to put it
on
out
that?
there how I perceive it. I perceive it as a whitewash program and a good old boy network.
Okay,
And that's
so
the way I see it.
So for our listening audience that doesn't know what we're talking about,
Yeah, let's fill in the blanks.
Yes,
Chief-
fill that in.
the chief of Sutter County Fire, John Shalowitz, was arrested for public intoxication.
At home.
Well, he hit a car in the McDonald's parking lot in Yuba City at the Bel Air parking lot,
Right.
right, in that area, and flashed his badge, told the gal who he hit, who was a Sutter County probation employee,
Okay.
pretty sure.
I'm listening.
pretty sure. So he flashed his badge and said, I'm on my way to a call. His call was his driveway. Okay? So the problem, and all he received, nothing. No punishment. He was back at work the next day. But from what I understand, Sutter County is in trouble with their fire district. So John Shalowitz, as the Sutter County Fire Chief, he knows the danger that we're in Sutter County. So he had applied for assistant chief in Yuba City and was in background when this happened. So he was getting ready. You talk about fire under the feet, right?
Wow.
When you say in trouble, can you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, it was in the budget for Sutter County. John Shalowitz, there was a Appeal Democrat article that said, we are in dire straits.
Yes.
I live in Oswald Tudor.
Financially, then?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So what I was told, where I live in District 5, I'm not in the city, I'm in unincorporated, that we're not going to have a fire station. So I think that Mr. Shalowitz, he's not a dummy. He's a smart guy.
He's smart enough to flee the scene knowing that his buddies would cover for him.
Well, that is
mean,
part of
that's
the
the way I
problem.
see it, man.
That is part of the problem. But if he is, I did not know that he was in the background for Yuba City Fire. Makes me sick.
So I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
They didn't put that in the newspaper either,
Of
did
course they
No,
didn't.
they don't put a
No,
lot in the
no,
newspaper.
yes.
Of course they
that
didn't.
newspaper.
Yes.
So from what I understand now with this little mishap, he's not in background anymore. And you know what? If it would have been, he is a at-will employee. He is not elected.
Yes.
They should fire him immediately. If it was you or me,
That would give public confidence. So,
Yeah.
okay, so Stacy, you heard our dialogue on the matter. What's your thoughts?
Well, I have the law enforcement background, and I know a line level police officer, deputy sheriff, that would have been in a conduct unbecoming, just the drunken public itself, and they would have been held to answer on that, whether it be time off without pay, up to termination, depending on what else was in their history, through employment. And it is my understanding that this is not his first issue with alcohol. I believe this was he had a DUI in the past as well. So those issues alone, those concern me. I know in law enforcement, working where I did, if you would have had a DUI and then a drunken public, even several years after, they would have been making the move to terminate you from employment.
so I know who he hit, right?
Okay.
Do you have the name?
No, I do not.
You don't?
No.
Okay, so in the McDonald's parking lot, I guess he needed a Big Mac to try to, equal
Soak up
out
the
his,
alcohol?
Yeah, exactly. So he hit actually a corrections officer with the sheriff's department. Were you aware of that?
Did not know that.
There's your 411 for the day.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Keep
So-
it in the family?
Keep it in the family, baby. Jeez,
So you can see
Louise.
the perception that that some of us in the public have.
Perception my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how real it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And he flashed his badge and said he was going to a call. The call was in his West Yuba City home in his driveway, and I think he had an appointment with Jack Daniels,
Yes.
yes,
right?
Perfect excuse.
That was-
I wasn't drinking till I got home.
that's what the newspaper said.
Leaving the scene of
Well,
an accident.
cover paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Cover
So
paper.
I'm curious. Okay, you're right here in the midst of us complaining section.
The complaint department.
And you see what our perception is because we're not in that club.
Correct.
Yeah. So, do you see a good old boy network club going on here or not?
That one there, where I think the law enforcement's hands were tied when they actually arrived on scene. By the time he got home, even if somebody in the drive-thru said he smelled like alcohol, you would never be able to prosecute a DUI for that because his response would be the stress and anxiety of getting in that accident. I came home and I had to down these 5 shots of alcohol or these 5 shots of whiskey, for example. Then you could never substantiate what his alcohol level was in the drive-thru. However,
What about leaving the scene?
the leaving the scene, I completely disagree with. It makes me wonder, of course, like all of you, why was he in a hurry to get out of there?
So, Stacy, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay,
This is county, not city,
correct.
but our ridiculous, feckless excuse for a district attorney's office and our district attorney, they blamed it on the PD. How does that make you feel?
That could have been handled, I felt, in the press release from the DA's office. I saw the report, or the newspaper report article where it stated DUI should have been an option instead of hit and run. They stated that since he showed his ID, he had technically identified himself, so they couldn't charge him with a hit and run. However, just as I explained earlier, even if the officer would have put DUI charges on there, the DA's office couldn't have done anything about it. They know it wouldn't have stuck, so it should have just been, they should have explained everything and said, this is why we can't prosecute, rather than throw the ball back into somebody else's court and make the police department look foolish. Just step up, say, hey, this is what happened because of the circumstances. These are why we can't do anything. And then you're not laying the blame and continuing a circle all around.
So if I get in a hit and run and just flash my driver's license at them and leave, that's good.
That's the lesson.
They can't prosecute
That's
me.
the lesson to be learned.
Wow.
Okay, so everybody out there, if you're in a altercation
Offender
like that,
bender.
yes, show your ID or give them a card, write your name down, get the hell out of there,
Yep.
go home and drink as much as you can. Okay, and that's the best
That's
program.
the recipe here.
So
Yes,
basically,
yeah.
play it like a game. If you can beat the cops to your house before they get there, you're good. You're a winner.
Well, he
Even
called
better
them.
than that, go to a friend's house.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it all depends on where I'm at. I got to have an escape route to your house, to Bill's house, and then we're good. As long as, because Bill is in the middle of town, you live at the north end of town, I live at the south end of town. So all I got to do is beat him back to my house.
Well,
and I'm good. Game
don't
over.
go to Tom's house because you won't have any alcohol there to consume, or to
Well,
empty
I
out and
didn't
say you
know.
consume.
Just
No,
tell them you're going to
wait a
Pete's
minute.
Brew House and meet them all there.
Wait a minute. I would give you some rubbing alcohol to drink.
Oh, thanks. That'd be good. But no, I mean that's seriously what we're saying here now is as long as I beat him home, game over. I win.
As long as I'm home, I can say I consumed all this one as soon as I hit the door. I was
But I would
so
still
distraught.
be in trouble for hit and run and would be hooked up and taken down and booked and be facing prosecution for hit and run.
From what I understand, he contacted the authorities once he was home and engaged totally in his relationship with Jack Daniels.
Imbibed.
Right? Totally involved.
Yes.
He called and said, Ollie Ollie auction free. I'm here. Come and get me. So they did arrest him. And he spent the obligatory 4 to 6 hours in the drunk tank.
It's
The
good
next
to
day-
know the system, isn't it?
The
It's
next
good to know the
day,
system.
he was back at work. I'm going to tell you right now, I live in the county. If that guy showed up at my house for a fire, I'd knock his head off. I do not feel safe. We have no leadership. Why do we continue to settle for this nonsense? How?
Yeah.
Why?
Right. You got me, Liz. I'm just telling you, that's the way I saw it when I read the paper. When I read the paper, I said, this is a good old boy network, and the newspaper's covering
This is
for 'em.
part of it. Yeah.
Okay, and that was my takeaway. So, having heard all that, okay, do you think we're off in tulips, or is that happening?
Well, I can say this: running for a city council seat, that I think the city dodged a bullet through this since he's no longer in background. That's the good
Yeah,
thing
but
from the.
we're still stuck with him out in the rural,
I know,
unincorporated.
absolutely.
So, hip hip hooray, Yuba City.
I don't know if there's anything.
Zippity doo dah.
I don't know if there's anything the citizens can do, get together before the board, anything they can do, and if there's anything the board can legally do, but maybe with the voice of citizens and the citizens going to them, maybe something could actually be done.
Well, there's nothing that can be done with this Board of Supervisors in Sutter County. We got one guy that can't keep his hands off of girls at the high school. We got another one that is an accused racist, sexist bigot.
Tell us how you really feel.
I know, I'm pissed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And we're here to interview Stacy Brookman, city council candidate. Okay, let's
Who you like? Okay, remember this. We like him, Liz. We like him.
Jason's doing a bobblehead.
Okay. So, knowing what we think, Stacy, and we are, I think, a good example of some of the people in the public. Okay. How can we get things turned around back to where they should be? Because definitely it's not where it should be. And how can you help do that?
Accountability from the top down in the city, starting in City Hall, the leadership. Make everybody accountable. The city manager, the fire chiefs, the police chiefs, all department heads, make everybody accountable from the top down, and that's how you start making those changes. I'll go back to the fire department and the vote of no confidence, for example. They lose firefighter after firefighter after firefighter. If you can stop bleeding those firefighters, you can save the city money right there. It costs money to do background investigations and to do the hiring process and to do all the training and everything over and over and over and to keep repeating that and to keep becoming the training grounds for other fire departments. That costs us money as taxpayers. that's just one example of being able to save some money for the city.
Okay, so you say that, and I say now we're at a stalemate then, because we got what do we call them up there in Gridley, Diamond Dean?
Diamond D.
Okay.
Yes.
$337,000 a year for the police chief. Okay, now that's salary and benefits. That's what we all hear, right? That's public record. So, and then the rank and file police officers, you know, I don't know any of them that are destitute. Okay, so but they keep crying that they can't, that they need more money. Okay, and it's factored into what all the other guys are making in the big police apparatus program here in the United States. Okay, but none of it's factored into the private sector employment program that we're seeing. So it seems like a stalemate to me, how it's going to be dealt with. And then let's just throw in the retirement program that's not funded, that they want to squeeze out of us, the people. How are you going to squeeze that from us?
I don't know if there's an
Boy,
answer.
we're giving you some hard time, huh?
Absolutely. I don't know if there's an answer to the PERS bubble. I know I've spoke with the city manager of Yuba City, and he said that they're in more of a wait and see pattern. Myself,
What? How perfect is that?
myself
Wait
personally,
and
Fix
see.
itself.
Wait and see.
I think-
my God. I hope John Shalowitz drives out here and douses me because my hair is on fire right now. We're in a wait and see. Are you kidding me right now?
Smoke is coming out of
We,
her ears.
my own personal opinion, I think that the PERS situation with all the retirement and the retirement bubble coming, I think it's so far gone that the only way it'll ever be fixed is going to be a federal bailout. That's me personally. I cannot see the numbers. People are saying 50, 60, 70 million dollars. And that's for a small city of Yuba City. What about these other cities and counties? And where's this money going to come from?
Taxpayers.
But the pie's not that big. I mean, the money isn't there to fix it. I truly think that as it starts to collapse, you'll end up seeing a federal. That's myself. I think you'll ultimately see a federal bailout because so many cities.
Too big to fail.
Exactly. And there's too many cities that haven't managed money properly that are going to collapse a lot sooner than we are around here.
Boy,
Has
I'm
Stockton,
going to
yeah.
tell you, you know, what do you think? I'm going to give you two options. I feel good about that, or that makes me sick. What do you think?
That makes me sick.
Yeah.
And for one, the people won't stand for it. I mean, basically, if that's true, if there's no solution, bankruptcy would be the option, and you're not too big to fail. Sorry, you're out of luck. And I'm one of those people in that boat. That's 24 and a half years of my retirement is in that, you know. So I'm speaking from a point of, let's be reasonable, people. If it's not there, it's not there. But
Did you see the Appeal Democrat today?
Yeah.
no, I don't get the paper.
Oh, you're not missing much, except for.
I get the Territorial Dispatch. I'm good with that.
That's a good newspaper.
So, I mean, it gives the rundown for the CalPERS deficit in Sutter County, City of Yuba City, Marysville, Yuba County, Wheatland.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what Wheatland's CalPERS deficit is? Zilch. Nada. Nothing.
Well, how can that be?
Well, because they have a 401k program
Yeah.
that they contribute to their employees. What the hell is the matter with us? What are we doing?
Well, they're using bubble gum to try to fix their leaks. What has to happen is these things that keep happening to where some people don't contribute any portion of their CalPERS, like the council members, supervisors that we've learned about. And I just found out about last night, we've got to start digging into the city of Live Oak. Apparently, the city of Live Oak has done a similar thing to where to their general employees, they gave them that benefit just recently. They were awarded in their negotiations that they don't have to contribute to PERS anymore. Now, I heard that, I haven't verified, but we're definitely going to look into it because they're also looking at some absolutely ridiculous increase in their water costs at like 400%
Oh.
or something. It's absurd.
Unaffordable.
But, yeah. So they're sacrificing the whole citizenry to, give this perk to the employees of the city of Live Oak, which there's, a handful of them? It can't be very many. It's a tiny town.
We can't afford the help. I mean, and Stacy, that's what I want to know from you. Are you willing to tighten the belt on some of this government nonsense?
We have no choice. We have to. It's to a point that it's just going further and further and further out of control to where we're just leaving a bigger and bigger debt for our children and for our grandchildren, and we have to stop it. It's not going to fix itself. It has to be fixed by us, and it's that simple. As for comparing pay to the public sector, I could see how we could do that in sewers and water and roads. And my question would be, is who do we use for your law enforcement and your firefighter examples? Where do those come from in the private sector?
Private security companies. You have one of those, don't you?
I do, but
They don't make nowhere near as much as the police officer, right?
absolutely.
Privatization. So we have a clear example with Chief John Shalowitz. A couple of weeks ago, the police department was called for a non-injury small collision that nobody could get to.
Or that's what they said anyway.
Well, that's what they said.
Nobody wanted to touch it.
How disgusting.
We have dead silence now.
I've been looking at, because I went to this Channel 13 article because the appeal, it just seems to be so one-sided anymore. I don't even hardly look at what they write. Occasionally I do just to compare. But I was really I was very disappointed in these comments that Matt Connett put in this article. I just would expect more from him. He's my supervisor, and I like him. I've supported him. I voted for him. I like him. However, he disappointed me. So he's speaking, basically he's kind of coming to the defense, which he needs to understand. He doesn't need to impress his co-supervisors, the department heads of the county. He works for us. He needs to impress us.
Yeah.
We're the ones
How
that
impressed are you right now on a scale of 0 to 10?
I'm not on that scale.
So it would be like a negative?
A negative. Yeah. A negative. I'm very disappointed to see him saying things like, well, this is not what I know of him, what he's accused of. He says that he's respects the
Process.
he kind of respects the DA's office, and they'll come to the right, the justice system will work itself out and they'll come to the right decision. Just very supportive of the process, my quotation, air quotations.
Well, God bless you, Matt. You got a lot more respect than I do. Because I sure don't have it anymore. It's gone.
Yeah, and his final statement in the article, at least, they quoted him as saying, the evidence apparently didn't support any further action. I mean, how benign. I mean, why don't you, we're infuriated. Okay, we're your constituents. You should feel as we do. And obviously you haven't portrayed that in the article because maybe you're trying to maintain your relationships and don't want to upset the apple cart. But that's not what you're there for. You're not there to make buddies with the rest of the supervisors.
You know what I think, Tammy? I think you hit on a very important subject, and I think that once some of these guys get elected, they have a disconnect from the people, okay? And we told Stacy that he went through the washing machine and he came out clean, right? Okay. And
Reasonably.
so right now you're squeaky clean. Okay?
Right now.
Okay. But
I wouldn't say squeaky, but
Yes.
pretty darn.
Okay, so didn't we feel the same way with James Gallagher?
Yeah.
Okay,
Who?
James Gallagher.
When was the last time you saw the boy
no,
Wonder?
No, I'm just telling you. In the beginning, we felt like he was pretty clean. Okay,
Yeah.
but as the time goes on, I'm giving my perspective, Liz. You're looking like me like I'm crazy. Okay, but as time goes on. We see more and more of the swamp water that's stuck to him.
He's got soggy
Yes.
socks.
Yes. So I guess the people are looking for people that won't be covered with swamp water in a short order of time. So how do you think you can keep that from happening to you? I mean, surely you've seen that happen too.
I just say from the beginning, you do the right thing. You're not going to make everybody happy all the time. You're going to have people pissed at you while you're in there. The people are going to be angry.
What
But you
people-
have to do, people who don't get their way a lot of the times, you have to do, citizens will be upset with you at times. You're going to upset employees. You have to do what's right for the city of Yuba City, not what's right for somebody that's handing you a $500 check, not what's right for somebody who can give you tickets to a basketball game. You have to do what's right for the city of Yuba City, period.
Let's go back to Supervisor Matt Conant for just a minute. I don't know if he had a wax buildup in his ears this past Tuesday, and I know that we're not pro, union here, but I think that there was an employee that got up and spoke, had to take vacation time because she's rank and file to attend her supervisor's meeting, which anyone that knows me or has heard me for 1 minute, those 3 p.m. supervisors meeting
It's a
is
bunch of
BS. It's BS. Do you have that queued up, Jason? Because maybe if Supervisor Matt Conant is listening, he may have missed that. I thought it was one of the most poignant details in that supervisor's meeting.
Yeah, she spoke very well. And the fact that, she's, as well as being a county employee, she's a citizen and she has every right to, have a voice and make an appearance at those meetings. And for her to have to take time off work because they choose to put this in the middle of the day when working people, their working citizenry, cannot participate.
That's by design, Tammy. You get it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen.
Jason's got it queued up.
My name is Allison Watkins, and I'm a secretary for Sutter County. Since Mr. Mitnick became the CEO of Sutter County, he's used every opportunity to express his concern about our fiscal stability. He's often expressed the message that we need to do more with less. He's warned employees of the importance of working together with administration to find solutions, which basically translates to a zero offer in negotiations. We've heard the warnings and seen the graphs showing the looming CalPERS deficit. And today, you even have an item on the agenda about soliciting proposals to prepare for a long-term fiscal strategic plan, because with the Yuba Sutter regional economy remaining relatively flat, limited local revenue, increased CalPERS pension rates, post-recession cuts not being restored, and a myriad of other budgetary challenges facing the county, long-term financial planning is paramount to achieving fiscal stability in the coming years. That's what your item states. So the message is clear. Sutter County says they don't have any money. But then, in spite of all of that, you have decided that the right direction for this county is to hire a new HR director at the top step of the salary range. A salary that is so high that her starting salary will be that of $23,000 higher than the HR director who just left us a few months ago. So I'm here today to express how disappointed my fellow employees and I are over this decision. I am a union representative, and my phone has been blowing up all day long with employees who are angry over this decision. So on a whim, I decided to use some vacation time and come talk to you today. While I'm sure Gina Rowland is a perfectly delightful person and obviously comes to us with years of experience, it is absolutely inappropriate to start someone at a top step in a county that has limited local revenue, increased pension rates, post-recession cuts that have not been restored, and a myriad of other budgetary challenges to face, not to mention zero money for the rest of their employees. This is the problem with this establishment. Our morale is not poor because we do not like our jobs or our managers are difficult to work with. Our morale is poor because you keep telling us one thing and then doing another. You preach and then you line your own pockets with money from our coffers. This is not what leadership looks like. It's not what we expect from you as leaders. So with that, I would lastly like to remind you who this board represents. You do not represent Scott Mitnick. Scott Mitnick does not live here, he does not pay taxes here, he does not raise his family here, and he does not vote here. You represent me. You represent us. We are Sutter County, and you represent us. And right now, with this particular incident, you are not doing it. You are not representing us. Yet without us, you can do nothing. So 2 weeks ago, there was a deputy sheriff that came up here and spoke. And in response to that, Mr. Solinger, you stated that you expressed frustration about that you had passed a budget that basically gave everyone else raises except for public protection. I have no idea what that is referring to. I want the public to understand none of us are getting raises at this point. We've all been at the negotiation table for some time, and you have given none of us raises. The last time that I was here, Mr. Solinger made comments about how he and those like him are pulling the wagon, and the rest of us are riding in it. And I have to tell you, that was extremely offensive to those of us who come here and work our butts off every single day. You, sir, are not pulling the wagon. You and your counterparts are riding in the top seat of the wagon. The rest of us are pulling the wagon. And you make decisions, but you can't see them through without us. So please consider this, and please start representing your Sutter County voters. Thank you.
I want this lady in this studio. I don't know when. Next weekend, I'm going to be out of town. Me and Tammy are going to be out of town. But the weekend after that, I want to have it set up. I want her in here. I want to talk to her. I want her to blast these guys for an hour straight.
Well, I found her.
Because I believe she can do it.
I found her.
Good.
I found her, and I called her that next morning
Awesome.
after the smoke stopped coming out of my ears, and told her that I was never, ever so proud of anybody going before that board with the words that she said were amazing.
And she's a county employee.
Yes, she's a secretary in the ag department, 822-7500. You can call her yourself. She'll answer the phone.
Well, here's my thing is, our founding fathers signed a document saying they pledged their everything,
Yeah.
their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honors for that. This lady's doing nothing less by getting up and going after basically the hand that feeds her, for lack of a better word. She is going after them, telling them what she believes and what she thinks and what's in her heart. And you believe there's not going to be repercussions from those guys? You
Yeah.
can damn well bet they're gonna go after her some way, shape, or form, and she's going to need some kind of protection.
I called her Wednesday morning, and I told her, if you experience one iota of retaliation, I certainly hope that you will call
Yeah.
us, because she needs protection. And as I was made aware that she might not even know the retaliation that is being planned against her
Oh, it's coming.
behind the scenes.
Trust me, it's coming. Anyways, I want to get back to Stacy really quick because he's only got a few more minutes. Stacy, your first day, new city council, you went to their training, you've come back, first order of business at the city.
Bring respect back to the dais.
Okay, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by bring respect back? To who?
To everyone, to members of the city, to other members on the council, department heads, citizens, everybody as a whole. The disrespect that we talked about earlier that's happened, bring that back and make it a functional board or functional council to where everybody can work together as one unit, one cohesive unit, instead of being divided.
Okay, and what if you don't get it from the biggest one that I see is you're going to get the respect from the city, the actual line staff. You're going to get the respect from. They're pretty good. You're going to get the respect from the citizens. The people you aren't going to get respect from are all your chiefs, all your top echelon at the city, your Steve Kragers, your Darren Gales, all those idiots that are running the city right now, you're going to have a problem with. What are you going to do? How are you going to put them on notice?
You sit down and talk with them. Every one of them is an at-will employee, and they work for the city council. You don't work for them.
There you go.
That's what they need to understand.
This is more what we heard in the meeting with you. This is what I want to get to the nuts and bolts of. They work for you guys.
Absolutely.
If you make the city council, they work for you. You don't work for them.
They work for the city council, and the city council works for the people. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. Good job. Now, you talked about a little bit when we were off the air. We've only got a few more minutes here with you. You talked a little bit about off the air about why city council is so important with some of the stuff you're seeing going on in Sacramento. Go into that real quick.
We're still a very conservative area, and that starts and maintains at the level of the council. we could lose our rights, even our Second Amendment right, just at the city council level. There are cities that don't allow sales of ammunition. The city council could elect to vote in no more firearm stores, for example. They could shut down the ones and not renew licenses to the current ones we have. You can lose your rights as an American citizen at a city level just as easy, if not easier, than at a federal level, because the Supreme Court's going to jump up a lot quicker at a federal level and get involved to save you than they are at a city level.
Now, I can guarantee you there's a lot of people out there in our eyes going, "Boh, that's never going to happen here." Okay, whenever I ran for city council, I want to bring up the 16-ounce beer that they wouldn't let one grocery store sell. Okay? If you don't think it can happen, you're absolutely nuts. So I want everybody to realize this, that, the beer that I was defending comes back to exactly what Stacy is saying here. It's not about a beer. It's not just about ammo. They can write an ordinance just write an ordinance in, nobody voting on it, write the ordinance in, take it before city council. If they approve it, you had no vote, and your rights are gone. Mm-hmm. Just like that. You need somebody in there who understands that and who is going to defend that. And I believe this man will do it. So, you really got to pay attention, because it's very, very easy for them to write an ordinance and go, yeah, we all agree, and raise our hand, and aye, and done. And the next thing you know, you can't buy ammunition in your city. You can't buy a 16-ounce beer from one vendor, yet everybody else can sell it. So now what? Does a city councilman open a gun store and say, okay, you can buy guns from me, but that's it, and you're only going to buy what I want you to buy? It's BS, folks, and you need to pay attention to who you're electing, and you need to get people in there who get it, like Stacy. I know he's not the shining light that everybody wants. He's a little rough around the edges, but guess what? He gets what needs to be done, and he understands that we still have rights that he's not just going to arbitrarily give away because he's having a bad day. So think about that for a minute. What do you got to say, Stacy?
On the lines of our rights,
yes,
I can assure you that nobody's going to take away your Second Amendment right, your First Amendment right at a city level while I'm here. That I will.
How about all of them?
Any of them. I will give you my word that you have one vote at least to continue to keep all of our rights and to defend our Constitution.
And how about a bullshit fireworks? Given the let's go there. Yeah, let's go there. Let's.
We forgot to beep that out.
Let's go there with the fireworks. I've given overtime to fireworks.
Okay.
Okay?
To regulate fireworks?
To regulate fireworks, they're given overtime to regulate fireworks. I got a $1,000 fine this year. And now the fire guy that gave me the fine is saying that he's going to set outside my house next year to give me another fine. Really? And they wouldn't even do an investigation. They would not do an investigation to see if I actually launched the fireworks. I asked him to come in my backyard. He wouldn't do it.
Well,
unbelievable.
The biggest problem is you got caught. I didn't.
But the thing is I didn't do it.
He didn't do it.
They cannot. You cannot keep taking our tax dollars for little things. That's ridiculous. We don't have the issues of huge fires here in our city caused by fireworks. There's many other places that money can go. We got a PERS bubble coming that we keep talking about. And even if you spend $20,000, have other places to spend it. We need to spend it wisely and spend it in the places that are needed the most.
All right, we have to come right back. We'll go to break.
Check out the Territorial Dispatch. The paper is a weekly and can be obtained free at distribution or by mail through subscription. It's the only locally owned and operated newspaper in the region. The paper is the rest of the story. And also check out the E-Territorial. It's an online version of the Territorial Dispatch, which features local news and events for the Yuba Sutter, Colusa, and Nevada County areas. You'll also find daily and breaking news updates, current traffic, and weather information, along with a calendar of local events. Visit the E-Territorial at eterritorial.com.
I don't hear any.
All right, we're back.
I don't hear
And we're
nothing.
we're just flying blind out here today. Well, at least I am. Well, I'm flying deaf, let's put it that way. Anyways, we're back with Stacy Brookman. I want to go over this real quick because we ended kind of on a harsh note. Back when I was running for city council, we had one man singled out in the city with not being able to sell a 16-ounce beer, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but the problem is they took one man's rights away through an ordinance that they arbitrarily decided on that they weren't going to allow anymore. Now, it wasn't a retroactive ordinance, so it only went to one person at the time that applied for a new ABC license. So they arbitrarily took his rights away through an ordinance. So if you don't understand what an ordinance is, it's just a new rule that the city manager or the city community development director writes up, gives it to the city council approves it or doesn't approve it. Sometimes it doesn't even go before the city council and they just write the damn thing up. So they did that. What Stacy's talking about is he's seen ordinances now in other towns and other cities come about for things such as ammunition sales, such as gun sales, things like that. So he's on board with the ordinances and what needs to happen and how easy it is to take people's rights away. And he's one of the few candidates. I mean, we have three that get this, but he's one of the three that gets that whenever you take somebody's rights away for what you feel is a greater good, you need to be very, very careful because you're giving your rights away of some way, shape, or form. So I want him to elaborate on that just a little bit, and then we'll close him out because we got another candidate here that we want to talk to, but I wanted to get that wrapped up real quick. So go ahead, guys.
I want to go a little further on what you said about the 16-ounce beer. That could very easily become firearms or the right to gather in one of our public parks. Like I said earlier, we're still a very conservative area, but you go down to San Francisco and look, and they're getting ready to weed out their very last gun store. It's going to be gone. Once it's gone in that liberal community, you're not getting it back. That right is gone. No matter who you are, whether you're on the board, whether you're a citizen in the city, those rights, you're not getting them back. We have to continue to defend our Constitution, even at a level of the city council, to go all the way, and it needs to go from the city council and the county board of supervisors, the state level. We don't need to give up any more rights. And I don't think people understand how easy they can be taken away. And they don't realize that a lot of people I've seen the mindset is, well, it's just a little bit of the right. It's just, they're not taking all our guns. They're only taking this little bit. They're only going to take 30-round magazines, or they're only going to take this. But they just keep chipping away at your rights. And our rights are being chipped away at every day. And they're getting less and less to the point, if it continues, we won't have any. We will lose our right to bear arms. We will lose our right to free speech. We will lose our freedom of religion, which is being attacked as well. We will continue to lose all of our rights if we don't take a stand.
Wow, you don't know how refreshing that is.
Yes.
For me to hear that from you, Stacy, because you just covered the First Amendment, and the second. Because we've asked other people that were running for the job of a public servant, and they couldn't tell us any of their God-given inalienable rights. So that is refreshing.
And that's why I wanted everybody to hear him today, because the fact is this is exactly, folks, why we were picking ourselves up off the floor whenever we talked to Mr. Stacy Brookman the first time around. This is exactly what we got the first time around, and it is absolutely refreshing to hear somebody who isn't afraid to say something that may irritate somebody. And he's going to say it, and he's going to live it, and I think we've got a true city candidate, a city council candidate, that will stand his ground and stand your ground for you in that city council seat. Mm-hmm. He's got a spine. He'll look you in the eye when he talks to you. He shakes your hand like a man. I mean, it's just, he's going to get it done. I have a firm belief that this guy's going to get it done If you don't, I'm going to have egg on my face and we're going to go rounds. That's all I'm going to say.
I'll stand for what I say. I promise.
Okay, that's
And I really like the what you talked about, having that respect. Now, we can be respectful and totally be on the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So, and also, Jason, we learned never prejudge anybody, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we did learn that.
and I never.
I'm
have
learning that over and over.
I never have that.
in my
that's
life.
what I was going to say. I'm learning that over and over and over again. But it is what it is. You. I'm sorry you have preconceptions whenever you, and that's the thing.
It's
folks,
human
that-
nature.
Well, and one thing I want to tell people out there too is you're going to hear a lot of bad about Stacy. You are. We've heard it. And why are you voting for that guy? Before you take any of that to heart, sit down and talk with him. Have a backbone, have a spine, give the guy a call, and have a discussion with him. I guarantee that whenever you get done with your discussion, you're going to walk away with a new perspective. And that's my big thing is don't go off of hearsay. Don't go off of what is word of mouth around town. We live in a small town. People love to talk about people,
They like to make up stuff.
but they will not tell it to somebody's face. So like I say, talk to the guy face to face, even if it's over the phone. Talk to him before you make your decision on him, because I'm telling you, it's very refreshing, and you're going to have somebody who will stand up for your rights and will give you the respect you deserve, and also demand the respect from the city employees that you deserve. So, honestly, folks, you really need to think about this election, because we have 3 candidates up for election. I know, I'm hurrying, Bill. I've been pinned up here, not able to say anything. Now I'm going. So, what I'm saying is we have 3 seats available, right? There's only 5 city council folks. If we replace 3, guess what? They can change whatever. They can write new ordinances, or they can take away old ordinances and slap the city back to where it needs to be and put the managers back in their place and put them as public employees and public servants where they need to be, rather than the overseers of our tax money and the overseers of our city council. That ain't the way it's supposed to work, folks.
And just from me personally to you, Stacy, don't plan on taking any more of my money.
Yeah.
Understood.
I'm not
Understood.
willing to give up any more.
All right, Stacy, go ahead and close us out here, buddy, and I got to play some commercials.
All right. I want to thank you guys for having me. You have a great day. And remember to vote November 6th. Get out. You got 3 names we need to see. Stacy Brookman, Mark Boomgarden, and David Shaw. You got 3 Republicans right there that will take care of you. And we will not try to take any more of your rights. I can guarantee you that much.
You don't even need to take care of us.
We can
We can
take
do
care
that
of ourselves,
ourselves,
but
But don't take our rights.
voting
Absolutely.
for those 3
Or our
will get
money.
it done, and we'll take out those incumbents. So very important. Vote for those 3. No
All right.
more incumbents.
Bal Dhillon's up next. I'm going to play a couple of radio ads, and we'll get her in here. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thank you.
Attention Yuba City voters. In just a few short years, the City Council has voted to increase our water, sewer, and garbage bills, and even started discussion on a sales tax increase. It's an out-of-control money grab. I'm Dave Shaw, a veteran, small business owner, and community volunteer, and I'm running for Yuba City Council. As a local resident for over 30 years, I'm the CEO of Shaw & Associates and an expert in wealth management, taxes, and accounting. I was voted Yuba Sutter's best financial advisor, and my firm was named the 2017 Small Business of the Year. As your councilman, I will move funds from administration to public safety and road repairs. I'll revisit the water and garbage rate increases, and I'll stop the dump because residents do not want a transfer station in the middle of town. And I will fight to stop giving pensions to council members. Remember, vote Dave Shaw for Yuba City Council. Proudly paid for by Dave Shaw for Yuba City Council 2000.
I fully endorse Captain Brandon Barnes to be your next Sutter County Sheriff. I've worked with Captain Barnes for over 20 years. Brandon is a graduate of the prestigious FBI National Academy. He was our former SWAT commander and chief of investigations, and now holds one of the highest positions in law enforcement as jail commander. He leads and manages a staff of over 80 personnel and an inmate population of almost 400. Folks, your sheriff is the top law enforcement officer in the county. Experience and character are critical. That's why 13 active California county sheriffs, including myself, endorse him. I am beyond confident that Captain Barnes has the skills, the temperament, and the vision to lead Sutter County. I believe this is the most important vote on your ballot. I encourage you to vote Brandon Barnes for Sutter County Sheriff.
Paid for by Brandon Barnes for Sutter County Sheriff 2018.
My name is Mark Boomgarden, and I believe in hard work, honesty, American values, and service to the community. Those are the values that have guided me in a lifetime of serving Yuba City as a firefighter, fire chief, businessman, and community volunteer. Those are also the values that have led me to run for council. This is not about fame, climbing the political ladder, or for money. At least, it's not for me. That is why I will not accept any benefits and will donate 100% of my city council pay to local charities. I will tackle wasteful spending, make fighting crime a top priority, bring new focus to dealing with the growing homeless problem, ensure better disaster preparedness, and invest in fixing our roads and water infrastructure. This is our city, yours and mine, so I will always listen and be accessible to you. That's why I've put my personal phone number on all of my campaign material. To learn more, visit markboomgarden.com. That's Mark with a C, Boomgarden with 2 O's and 2 A's. This is Mark Boomgarden, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You are listening to 1410 AM The Patriot, and we are joined now by Dr. Bal Dhillon. She's in studio with us, and we asked her here specifically because we at the Political Spotlight engage with a lot of different opinions from people. And we started getting a lot of feedback from the opposition to the Superintendent of Schools race, Sutter County Superintendent of Schools. And I started documenting these things that are being thrown out there. And I just felt we needed to give Dr. Dhillon an opportunity to respond to some of these claims that are being thrown around. Because I know I've heard them. So obviously, you know, it's being talked about. I don't know how many people out there have heard these claims, but I want to address them because I know in my meeting, in our meeting that we sat down and had with Bal, she was very clear on some of these things and had already addressed these things, but I want her to say to everybody else kind of giving a response to some of these claims. So first of all, before we get into addressing these, I want to give Dr. Bal Dhillon an opportunity to present yourself and introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you. Let's start there.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the invitation to be here today. A little bit about myself. I moved to this country when I was 9 years old, went through local schools, worked very hard during that time, graduated from Sac State, ended up back in Yuba City, wanted to end up back in Yuba City teaching. I started my teaching career at Terbuena School, where I have lots of fond memories. Became an assistant principal there, worked there for 13 years, then moved to a principal position, worked there for 6 years, had a great boss who wanted to encourage me to go get a doctorate. And once I received my doctorate, more doors opened, became a district superintendent, did that for 3 years in Sutter County, and then was very blessed to be appointed the county superintendent in Sutter when Mr. Cornelius retired.
Okay, and you've been in the position for how long now?
For approximately 2 years, a little bit over 2 years.
Okay, I wanted to make that distinction because a lot of the rumors that are flying out there, they deal with things that happened prior to the 2 years that she's been in effect in that office. And so we're going to probably revisit that time frame because, that does play into some of the things that we're going to be talking about today.
Happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah. And I also want to add, I think I've said this before on the radio station because we talked about how our interview went with Bal. And I was just so impressed, as I am frequently, with people who have gone, either their parents or them themselves have gone through the process of naturalization. And they have such a different perspective than American-born citizens. It's just so closer to the original people that came over to our country, the things that they felt in their heart. It's more similar than the people who are just born here. We're in it. There's more of an entitlement thing. It's different. We're spoiled, I think is maybe the word. We're spoiled. We never see what it is to not have it. and going through the process of learning about the true founding of the nation and what it's based on and just all that. Just everybody I've talked to that's either they themselves or their direct parents went through that naturalization process just have a whole different perspective than spoiled, rotten brat Americans typically do. So I just wanted to say I was impressed with that. I liked what she had to say. She's just so American, and I love that.
Thank you.
So
A lot of
Don't lead the witness.
Don't lead the witness. That's funny, Bill. A lot of Americans, you know, in the younger generation, I think especially, don't grasp the perspective of America, because I don't believe American history is really being taught that well in the schools. You know, maybe not. Well, you know, when you see Jay Leno out on the street, you know, and he'll ask who won the Civil War, you know, they're clueless. So we have that problem. It's huge.
So at what point can a county supervisor of schools change the curriculum? Because obviously the curriculum won't be changed at state level.
So the curriculum gets switched out every 7 years, and at our last interview, we had talked about how the curriculum is chosen. We have 12 public school districts, 2 charter school districts, and when they adopt material, it is open to the public. Public can visit, public can look at the materials that are available, give their input to what is being adopted in that school district. The county, we serve their special ed students, and with that, we use their adopted curriculum.
Whose adopted curriculum?
The districts.
The district.
Yes, sir.
The state, but the state mandates the curriculum.
They recommend, usually when you are as a district choosing curriculum, there are 5 to 7 programs that they have approved, and then the districts choose to what's going to meet their needs.
So if none of those 5 to 7 programs meet any of the needs of a constitutional people, then what do you do?
Then you go talk to their boards and give them feedback and work together with them to, you know, get a curriculum that's going to meet everybody's needs.
So what does that mean? That means we as citizens have to participate.
That's right.
I think people forget that. They just expect certain things, and certain things don't happen if you don't participate. You need to show up for the showdown.
Yes.
You have to engage. The people have to engage.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
Can you explain to the audience the basically the outline of what the superintendent of schools' job is to do, and also throw in what the school districts and how the two intermingle? Because that was a lot of confusion for me when I first started looking into the school situation.
Okay. So like I said before, we have 14 school districts in Sutter County, and 12 of those districts are public education districts, meaning, you know, the other 2 are charter. So with the public districts, they have their own superintendents, their own boards. The hiring, the firing, curriculum adoption, all that happens at their own districts. The Sutter County, what our role is, we are the liaison between the state and the districts. We oversee their budget, and not only for this year, but 2 more years out. So can they, you know, make it with the money that they're given? The second thing, in 2013, Governor Brown changed the formula for education, the way it's been funded. Now it's called Local Control Funding Formula, LCFF. And with that LCFF, there is a plan called LCAP. And in that, the school districts address the students For example, the foster youth, English learners, special ed, how are they going to provide them the same education that they're doing for other kids? So as a county, we oversee their budget, we oversee their LCAP, we approve those things, and then send them on to the state. So that is our biggest job. But in Sutter County, we provide special education to all 14 districts. We have our staff that works at Yuba City Live Oak school sites providing education to our most severe children. And we also run the Feather River Academy. Feather River Academy is where students that are expelled from their home schools, either for a semester or a year, they are with us and we educate them. We also run the One Stop. And that program has been with us for a long time, but we oversee that. We also run adult education. And we just received a grant last year where we partnered with Yuba County and Sutter. And right now we have wall-to-wall people, not only, people wanting their diploma, also, English learners that are there. And what we're trying to do, one of my platform is not only providing the education, but giving these people a livelihood. So we're pulling a lot of these programs into our ROP/CTE programs, which, I was going to talk about later, but I can address that. So right now we have medical assistance, so medical assistance, we have a couple of other programs like automotive. We are partnering with Yuba College. So if you get a diploma at our site, we're going to help you get into a program at Yuba College, the beginning program in automotive. And if that's what you want to do, then you continue that. But if it's welding, we are starting our own welding program for Feather River Academy this year. But we want to pull our adults in. So when they leave Sutter County, I want them to have some type of a livelihood.
What about the construction trades, or is there anything to benefit the guys in construction trades? Because you're gonna have welders, and what was the other one that you said?
We have welding, automotive,
yes,
culinary right now, and then we also have AME, art, media, entertainment, and then medical and sports medicine.
Okay, so nothing for construction trades.
We are looking for partnerships that.
There was an available grant for, I heard, $70 million that got rejected because it only gave the superintendent's office 3% or 4% instead of the 10% that they usually that they want to acquire.
That is not true. I wish there was a $70 million grant. We would be all over it. However, we are too small.
It was for robotics.
I heard that, but we are too small of a county office. We don't get grants like that. That would be something for LA or San Bernardino or any of that.
How much was it for?
You know what? I have no idea. We couldn't find any information on the robotic.
So you're not aware that
I
there was
am not aware of it. And the other thing, that accusation of the county doesn't get this cut. We are in business of student finance. Like that doesn't matter to us because our job is to educate our youth. So.
Yeah, well, we definitely need to get these people directly in front of you so that they can explain themselves, because I've documented what was said, and it sounds like, okay, so there's no truth to that. So then, how do you respond? It's like, what were you talking about?
Who's starting this garbage?
Well, I won't say who they are on the air, just, because I didn't discuss with them, that I basically took the information from them and let them know. I told them they need to talk to Bal directly, but there's no effort being made on their part. So, but then one of the first things that was said was there's a janitor at the Superintendent of Schools office making an annual salary of $120K. Now, when this was said, I took that for what it was stated as there's a janitor making $120K. Well, I found out just Friday night what they meant by janitor was some kind of building maintenance
director.
Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you told me janitor, and that's what I told Bal. And so Bal's like, so give us your response to that.
So, yeah, well, how much is this maintenance director making? And with benefits of, all the county and city employees seem to acquire benefits of around $40,000 or better every year for each individual. That seems like a little high for me. I've never been in a job that had that kind of benefits. That's great.
Well, let me go over, first of all, the information I brought. We have custodians that work for us. Our highest custodians paid $37,000, and he's been there for about 17 years. And we do have a director. He's been with the county for 10 years. He does have a bachelor's. He brings, it's not just, director of maintenance. He oversees everything. He does make $120,000, but then $20,000 of that goes to his benefits, because at the county, they don't pay for benefits when you're in the managerial position.
But I want to back up real quick. So the guy actually pushing the broom, the custodian.
No.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
He's making 37
After working there for 17 years.
after working there for 17 years.
Uh-huh.
My guy who walks on the job pushing a broom makes 3 times that in construction.
But that's prevailing
Yeah.
wage.
I got that. I'm just saying though, but it's a prevailing wage job. But I just want to say there are higher paying. What I'm getting at is there are higher paying pushing the broom jobs out there than at the
county office.
the
I
county
appreciate
office,
that, Mr. Ricard.
Yeah, well, and like I say, what I really want to do here is and we're going to ask you some hard questions. It's going to Bill's got a list of them, and I want to ask them all.
Okay.
Because
We don't
it's
have
going to be
enough
hard.
time.
Well, then let's get through them. Let's go.
Bill and I are going to make an appointment.
No, it's not me. You need
Well,
to talk
I know, but I mean, it's not you, but these are questions that we've all been asked or all been, put on the spot for. Why are we supporting her? And I would like to get answers to most of them if we can, or some of the harder ones.
Now, it's been said there's $1.5 million dollar deficit. Yet you approved a 3% raise retroactively. Why?
Well, let me tell you that. First of all, I told you that we do special education for the districts. So when we have our teachers, the raise comes out of what we charge the districts. It's not the county paying them. It's our districts that pay.
No, it's our tax dollars.
But what I'm saying, the structural deficit, when we learned about it, we went back and looked at it, not only, what we're doing, cutting things back. And then one of the things we had this liability insurance at the county office where we were funding like at 12%. In reality, they, gave us the new codes, and it's at 6%. So at our last board meeting, which was Wednesday, we were very happy to let our board know we will not be structural, deficit spending the third year out. We are in a better shape where we have reserve.
Okay.
Wait, government reserve?
Well, not yet, right? That'll be in the third year. You'll have a reserve.
Not right now, but third year out. But we budget in education. We always budget 3 years out.
That is if you don't give away the farm in those 3 years.
Yes. And you have to be careful. So I budget the county budget like I budget my own checkbook, where I want to know where the money's going, what's coming in, how are we spending it. And structural deficit, when, we looked at this, and what are we doing? And so we started going back. We had bought, or we are, buying a big accounting system. And we had, even in that place, thought it was going to cost us $500,000. In reality, it cost $325,000. So there was some savings there.
But there is some problems with that, right?
With what?
With that new system.
We haven't started it yet. We're still doing the training.
But
it
it's going to
takes
cost a lot of money to implement it, first and second year, from what I understand.
And the counties, helping the districts pay that bill.
The tax The
taxpayers.
perhaps.
But our
Let's go there.
No. So our system that we have in place is 22 years old. So my people are spending a lot of time doing paper, pencil things. There are mistakes made. So, we live in the technology world. We need to move forward.
Very good.
Yeah.
So when I want to go back just a little bit, when you were explaining the districts and then the superintendent of schools, basically, except for the truancy type kids or whatever, the juvenile delinquents, whatever. I mean, these are the terms I use. I'm sure you don't use them, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, let's be honest.
Right.
They're juvenile delinquents,
so
little
the
rats.
problem children.
They're
okay.
students that have issues.
Yes. Okay.
I
so
got issues.
for those kids, and then adult education and stuff like that you talked about. Putting that aside, you are basically a middleman. The rest of your operation is a middleman between the school districts and the state. Is that what you're?
Yes.
Okay, that's kind of how I perceive it. So, as in your operation, okay, you have a certain amount of executives types, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're all public servants, but for us, that's how we perceive them. They're all there to serve the public.
Right.
Okay, we don't really use the term executive except in the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
So, your upper echelon, can you give us an idea of a salary and benefit package? Not just salary, but salary and benefit for your upper echelon, what they make?
I would say my assistant soups make between $140 to $160 with benefits, and $20,000 is $20,000 right off for benefits, because we pay zero for benefits. They have to buy their own benefits, and these people have been there a long time. My human resource director, assistant soup in special ed. The newest person we have, and I think she's in the 160 range, is my business person. And I did not hire. We had a assistant superintendent of curriculum, and she retired the first year I was there. I didn't hire anybody. I just gave jobs to the other people that were there already.
So, how many people would you say you have in that upper
echelon?
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And me.
And you, right. Okay, I'm just trying to get an idea. And then you have other staff, like you have some field guys that go out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
This one field guy out in Robbins get paid $176,000.
I don't
no kidding.
Who is that? I don't.
Laurie Goodman, certified non-management. I don't know. That's Winship.
Oh, you know what? She used to work for Robbins Winship. She was the principal superintendent, but she left last year.
Yeah,
so they have a new superintendent.
These aren't current. This is 2016.
Can I just say, I don't believe any of this is relevant to what she's been in the position for 2 years. Those positions were established.
Well, I
Their
know.
salaries are established. I don't understand why this is any. Why are we using this even as?
I'm just trying to get an idea of what the
I get that.
the money that the people's money,
Yeah.
where it's being
Same
spent,
money
and
we've
how
been
it's
spending
being
on
spent.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Quit leading the witness.
Yeah, it's the same. Well, okay, so let's make the point then that quote janitor, the director of building maintenance, who's a director, has been in his position for how long?
10. I want to say 9 or 10 years.
Okay, so the 9 or 10 years person, absolutely no relevance to Bal running for this office. So I don't even understand why this has been thrown out there. So somebody makes a claim, oh, this person makes $120,000, called him a janitor. Pointless.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the next point of can we come to something that has some validity and
How
some
about
relevance?
the furniture? When was the last time
Oh
furniture
yeah,
was
furniture. Somebody says
this is a big hot topic.
Yeah.
When was the last time furniture was purchased?
You know what? We had furniture before I came on. They had a new building that they bought on the other side of Klamath. It was 300 building. They had the furniture. I happened to be the person, when everything arrived. So it was that time. And then we had a bank next to us, that Farmers Bank. They left and they donated all the furniture to the county. So we did give all that furniture out to the districts that needed it and everything, but it was the Farmers Bank. So that was what I was in charge of. That's the only furniture we've ordered. Other than that, we've been working with what we have.
Bless their hearts.
It is.
I've never heard of Farmers
I
Bank.
think it's called, what is that bank
Farm
next?
Credit.
Farm
okay,
Credit,
okay,
yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. No,
They
that's
had
fine,
like
yeah.
32 offices in their office, and so all that furniture was donated to any school, anybody that needed furniture. They just said it had to go to our school people. So
Good.
So the point that was made, a criticism that, you were spending money frivolously on brand new furniture and outfitting all these people. So
Nonsense.
it's complete nonsense. It was furniture donated at no expense to the taxpayers
Nope.
by a generous community business
Yes.
and distributed to benefit the school districts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next.
Can I just say-
ESL.
Yeah.
Dr. Dhillon has been
So gracious.
so gracious and has answered every single question we have a multitude of times, and yet this
I haven't
garbage-
asked them all yet.
But
Well, let's
Yeah,
get on to the next one. But I mean,
we're on the air here.
I
and this
do
is
feel
for
I
the
do
public.
feel like we're throwing or running her over with the bus and then back it up and doing it again. But hey, you know what? That's part of what happens at the spotlight.
She
That's
looks
the way it
pretty
goes.
tough to me.
Yes.
So ESL, what's going on with ESL? We have no funding for ESL this year?
Can you tell me what ESL is?
English is a second language, I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well, we don't provide ESL to the school districts. That would be a school district
That was-
question.
okay.
Yes, and we do provide. Remember, I told you that there was an adult ed grant. We do, offer there, and those we have classes lined up at the door. I mean, if you drive on Sierra between 8:15, people are lined up. So
Good.
So I want to back up, make sure everybody stands. So basically, what you're saying is that you don't dictate what ESL gets offered at each school district.
yeah, and I have nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Okay.
So there we go.
There's another
I
point.
got a question.
So go to your school board
School
director.
board
You got a
meetings,
complaint,
Yes.
go to your school board.
Go hit them up.
So I got a question. You said that I believe you guys acquired another building. Is that purchased or leased?
Okay. The 300 building that was purchased before I got there, and I think the question Tammy had was with our One Stop. So One Stop is run only based on grants. They receive grants. That's how we provide the program. With grants, we cannot purchase any property. So we do rent those two buildings, but the rate we had on that piece of paper, that was ridiculous. We pay $7,500 a month for those buildings.
Yeah.
For
and
two
the-
buildings? And that is, what are those? One Stop.
What's a
Some
One
people
Stop?
might not know what One Stop is.
So One Stop is where we provide lots of programs for the community. So if you want to become a CNA, you can do a 3-month program with us. If you want to be a phlebotomist, you can do a program with us. You can do medical assistance with us. You can be a LVN. We have a 19-month program. Those are the things we provide. Besides any business that shuts down in town, we provide training for those people. We provide, help them find new jobs. So there are a number of grants that they get, and then there are a number of services that they not only provide to adults, but for young people too.
And these are federal grants or state grants?
So they're both.
Both?
They're both.
Okay.
So the claim was that two buildings were being leased for $24,000 every month. That's a falsehood. The truth is the bill is $7,000 a month, and the purpose behind that is they can't purchase a building with grant money, as she's stating that runs the the One Stop.
One Stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$7,500 a month, not
$7,500 a month.
Yes,
Okay.
So yeah, we're truth seekers here. So
Yes, we need to get to the truth
we're looking
and
for
dispel
truth.
the rumors.
Yes, but we're not going to. I mean, some of you might offer protection, but I'm not offering any protection. You know, for candidates. You know, we want the cold hard facts, and that's just the way
And
it
that's
is.
and nothing wrong with that.
Well, and I think they're entitled to the cold hard facts, but I also think they're entitled to get to the truth.
Yeah, that's
rather
what we
than
want.
just
the truth.
mudslinging that's going on about
Sure.
different
That's what
candidates.
we're doing right now. I do believe.
Exactly. That's
yeah.
where I'm at. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's the whole thing. Good, bad, or indifferent. We need the truth.
Yeah, we want the truth.
I know some people have a problem with
Yeah.
that, but
Okay.
let me see.
Is there? What do you got?
The truth, the whole
Next.
truth, and nothing but the truth, right?
Exactly.
Now we're going to start calling Bill the judge
The judge.
because he keeps telling don't lead the witness. So just for fun now, we're going to call him the judge.
Okay.
So does the judge have another question?
No. No, the judge is,
Hey, you fitting right in.
I'm warming up.
here comes the judge.
Thank you for that. Dave.
You know, I think it's important to note that Dr. Bal Dhillon has received some really notable endorsements. Unlike one of our sheriff's candidates who has intentionally not sought endorsements, I'd like to point out two that don't live in Sutter County.
I'm a chicken hawk, and I'm going to take you home. Come on, I ain't got all day.
Okay.
Yes.
Chicken Hawk.
Yes, Dennis.
Dennis Houck.
Yes.
Hawk.
I think that Rick Teagarden and Francisco Reveles' endorsement of you are very, very important.
Those are two men that I respect, very much. And them coming and just even in the community, when they are talking to people, they put the good word out. And I appreciate both of them from really bottom of my heart. They didn't have to do any of this,
Two
but they're willing
solid-
to do that.
Solid guys.
Reveles is from
Yuba County. Yuba County.
I
We
think
really like him.
yes,
We
and that's
had
one
him.
thing that I really think needs to be put out there with that endorsement is, yeah, that says a lot, and it should say a lot to a lot of people.
We felt like we had a Tea Party meeting
Yeah.
where you were there.
We were all invited.
And he was there, and we were very impressed
Very
with
pleased.
Francisco.
Yes.
Was
Yes.
that prior to Dancing with Our Stars? Because he participated in that.
I think
Did
it
you
was
know that?
prior.
It was prior.
Yeah, he participated in both of them. He participated the year before too, and this year.
And you also did
I
Dancing with
did.
Our Stars.
I did.
Yeah, not this past season.
No,
Yeah.
I'm at a loss here because
Tom-
are you talking
Tom
Dancing
doesn't
with
get-
the Dancing
Tom
with the
doesn't-
Stars on the national program?
No.
no.
Palooza.
Yeah,
With the
Fremont
hospital,
Rideout.
Advent Health.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they do a huge fundraiser each year where there's a local dance pro and the celebrity. So
Okay, because
Frank-
most people, when they hear Dancing with the Stars, we're thinking of, you didn't say it that way, but
She said
I
Dancing
wanted-
with Our Stars.
Yes,
That's
I know,
the
I get
difference.
it, but I just wanted clarification. Yeah, so it's not Dancing with the Stars, it's Dancing with Our Stars.
yeah, it's a play
Yes.
on words.
Yes,
And I
and
don't.
words are important.
Words are
Words
very
matter.
important.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys know Yolo County Superintendent or Calusas. They're both endorsing me too. So, not that we're lining them up, but we all work very well together, and we have 10 superintendents in our region, and they're very, very supportive.
Okay, as an employer, I'm looking for people that want to work. Okay, how can the school superintendent of schools and One Stop benefit me and other employers?
Well, not only Sutter County One Stop, but even our ROP/CTE can help with that. Because with all these jobs, you were talking about construction earlier, we can teach what they need, in the classroom, but we need places for these kids to intern, learn the jobs hands-on. So I'm going to be having an ROP/CTE forum on October 11th, where I'm inviting the business community to be partnerships with us so we can start more programs like the ones I was, talking about.
I'm wide open for that, and I will be there.
All right. Thank you. Everybody's invited.
Okay, so look, it's 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes left. Let's take a quick break and make some announcements for upcoming events. We have Charlie Schaup is going to be in town tomorrow at River Valley to debate Garamendi. I don't think Garamendi's ever had a private sector job. He's been in government his whole life. Personally, I think he sucks. After the debate at 7 o'clock, the Yuba Sutter Constitutional Republic are going to host a fundraiser for Charlie. We want to see all of you there. Come out. We need to replace Garamendi. He's worthless as far as I'm concerned. He's, like I say, he's been in government his whole life. He's part of the problem, what we're experiencing now. We also have on the 21st.
Yeah, the 21st is our fundraiser for Brandon Barnes. Sorry.
Brandon Barnes.
I got to get it straight in my mind. Okay, Brandon Barnes will be the 21st. So Friday night, 7 o'clock at the Yuba Sutter Constitutional Republicans headquarters, 441 Bridge Street. Now, Bal Dhillon, well, I don't want to skip. We have one in between. We have, first, let me say, the 24th. I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't take over the announcements you were doing it, Bill.
No, you've got the list. I don't.
Oh, okay.
That's the only one I had in my head.
On the 24th, there is a fundraiser at the Yuba Sutter Fairgrounds being hosted by the Central Committee, the
Right.
Republican Central Committee, and it's for Judge Bailey running for Attorney General.
That's the Burger Bash, and
The
we'd like to
Burger
see
Bash,
everybody
yes.
come out and support our conservative candidates.
Yes, and then on the 26th, we have the next event at the headquarters, which is going to be a fundraiser hosted by us, yours truly. The Yuba Sutter Political Spotlight will be hosting Stacy Brookman at the headquarters at 441 Bridge Street, 7 p.m., and that's to raise money for his campaign. And then we have on the 28th our Friday night fundraising event for Dr. Bal Dhillon. Woohoo! So put that on your calendars, folks. September 28th is when you will want to come out and throw all your hard questions at Bal, and she will have an answer for you.
Yes, I will.
Well, and you'll get to meet her personally. You'll be able to talk to her one-on-one, face-to-face. And if you got a question, bring it. My thing is I believe the lady can answer any question.
She's having no problem answering questions.
And I mean, you're getting the facts. And if you need backup, I'm sure she can provide it. I'm just, if you're on the fence, or even if you're not on the fence and you've heard something, come ask her. Come ask her face to face. Ask all your candidates face to face.
I got a
Don't
question.
listen to the rumor mill.
I got a question.
Yes.
For Dr. Bal Dhillon. Okay. As a citizen here in the USA, okay, and in the state of California, why do we need the Superintendent of Schools office? What benefit is it to the people? Why should we be enthusiastic about spending our tax dollars on this operation?
Well, first of all, our Constitution was built on checks and balances, so we provide that between the districts and the state. Second of all, like we talked about, our one-stop. It provides not only services to the adults in town, but it provides services to the youth that's coming out of school, work experience, things like that. And also, along with that, we provide services for special education. It kind of really specializes because the staff that I have does the teaching for severe students with severe disabilities. So these teachers are special qualified. They have to have not only a credential, but above that. And we provide that for our districts. And to me, we are the leaders in education, and we have to provide the very best for our students. And I believe we do that in Sutter County.
Do you think the people are getting a good deal?
I think so.
All right. So
I've got one. Before we do any further, I got to play this ad for John Mitzler really quick because I haven't been playing enough. So it's just a 1-minute ad. We'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
What if you, for the very first time, had true transparency in government? If I'm elected to the board, and I expect that I will, it'd be my intention that I will be very much involved in the day-to-day operations of the county to a larger degree than I have been even as a watchdog. So let me assure you, the public will know more about their government than they do today.
Okay. Told you that wouldn't be long. So.
I hear there's a revolution coming.
Yeah, there's a big one coming.
I sure like that statement he made in there, true transparency in government. That's what we want.
Write in
That's
John
what we're all about.
Mitzler.
Write in John Mitzler. You got to write it in, but he's got a little flyer out, shows exactly how to do it. Know it, learn it, love it, do it.
Just do it.
all right.
Here Alton Wright's going.
So do we want to let Bal do some closing statements?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity to be here. As a superintendent for the last 2 years, I have done a lot of things for our students, for our adults. A couple of the programs that I have started, one is called dual enrollment, where our students at high schools can take community college classes right on their campus. And the goal with that is by 2023, our high school students should be able to graduate with not only a high school diploma, but an AA. So that's for our college-going students. If you're not going to college, and not everybody's going to go to college, and I'm going to use welding as an example, right now we offer, most of our high schools offer welding in 11th and 12th grade. Kids that take it, get a certificate, can get a job $12 to $15 an hour. To me, that's, they can support themselves on that, but not enough to support their families. So what are we doing with that? What I would like to do is move those two classes in the high schools from the 11th, 12th grade to 9th and 10th, and then bring on the Yuba College classes for the 11th and 12th grade. If those kids take those classes for 4 years, they are able to earn between $30 to $35 an hour, where you can support your family. Welding is just one example. We have many other jobs in this area that they can use. We also had, about 3 years ago, there was a law passed that the first year at community college can be free for students. And we brought that to Sutter County. So if you are a middle class family, you can have your first year free for your students if they are a full-time student to do that.
Excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not free.
I like that.
Somebody's
paying for it, but other folks were getting that, and we're doing it here.
Thank you, Bill, the judge.
And then for our adults, I just want to throw in, we wrote to a program. So if you are already a brand new principal, you have 3 to 5 years to complete your credentials. We wrote to that last year, and we heard August 6th that we passed the whatever test that they had. So by August 12th, we have 21 candidates who are paying $6,000.